Thank you, City Council and Mayor Cheney. My name is Daniel Bakken. I'm the IT manager at EMSI, so I appreciate the chance to come here tonight. And so, yes, we would really appreciate the opportunity to lease this fiber from the city. We have been using the fiber over in the Alturas Tech Park for the last, I think, about 6 years, maybe 7 years now. That's how long I've been over there. And so basically what we're looking to do is continue using the fiber that the city provides to support a high-tech business in Moscow. We are a big data business that provides economic analysis using web-based tools to community colleges around the country, including ones as close as Walla Walla Community College and Lewis and Clark State College. What we'll be using this fiber for is primarily internet service, which someone asked who our provider was. It is First Step Internet. We will also be using it for continuing our off-site backups. That's a really important part of what we do at EMSI because if we were to have a fire or other natural disaster, we would lose all of the data that makes us who we are. This will give us the ability to ship that data off-site on a daily basis, which actually will end up using quite a bit of the instantaneous capacity of that fiber. We won't be using it. We won't be using it at 100% of the time, but at night we will be offloading a lot of data to an off-site backup, and the fiber is fantastic for that. I guess what the lease does is it gives us the ability to have more flexibility with the fiber. When we're working with First Step Internet or another internet provider, we're tied to that provider for the length of whatever lease we may have. Where leasing directly from the city, we could use First Step and then use another provider as a backup provider. We could enter into agreements with multiple providers. So it gives us more flexibility. Either way, we're going to be using, I think, one of those strands, and Jesse could correct me if I'm wrong. But whether or not we're contracting with an ISP or leasing directly from the city, the lease is still we're still paying that lease. So really, it's kind of just almost an accounting issue, and maybe I'm just confusing the issue here. But yeah, we would appreciate your approval, and we're really excited about moving downtown. We feel like it's a real privilege to be in the former Daily News building. It's a great building, and we've done a lot of work remodeling it to make it a lot more energy efficient. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Are you willing to field some? We'll get Wayne.
Are you currently paying a lease on the fiber optic itself? Not just your ISP cost, but a lease on the fiber optic cable itself, the strand that you're utilizing. Are you paying a lease price to First Step for that?
We are not paying a lease. I believe in the tech park there's no lease agreement as far as I know. We just pay because it's going to, there's a little junction box switch area in the tech park that's local to the tech park, and I believe it goes straight under the highway to the mall where First Step is.
Okay.
So there's no requirement for a lease over there as far as I'm aware. So this is new for us. We'll be incurring additional costs doing this.
This is new for us too, which is why we're here tonight. We appreciate your coming. Looks like Tom has a question too.
Well, I actually wanted to make a motion to approve the fiber lease renewal agreement between the City of Moscow and Economic Modeling LLC.
Okay, there's a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it for point of discussion.
Okay,
because
Tom's motion and Sue's second, but Tim has his finger up
I'm
first.
sorry.
That's all right. We've got
Well, I'm playing catch up probably more than the rest of you. It seems like the fiber has a huge capacity today in comparison to, say, 6 years ago. The question that came to mind, if even a company your size doesn't use the entire capacity of a fiber, is it possible to lease only half of a fiber and perhaps Jesse would be the one to answer that. Or a quarter, or 3/4, or do you have to lease the whole thing?
Yeah, we do have to lease it an entire fiber because it basically just provides a conduit for the light to go from City Hall to the point where it's terminated.
Okay.
So it's not really possible to the half fiber or quarter fiber is effectively what we can accomplish with the wave multiplexing. It lets you use multiple wavelengths to have multiple services over a single fiber.
So one uses blue, the other one uses green.
Effectively,
Or
yes.
infrared.
There are a
Wayne?
few blues.
Let me,
there are a few.
But in
gonna
5 years
try to
down
put
the
this
road,
in-
that'll come.
We're already able to do the multiplexing, so. But the limiting point you have with the fiber optic connection is it's basically a point-to-point link. You can't really extend it beyond the demarcs that you go. That's why it's the leases from City Hall to the old Daily News building. So that's where your path is. If you want to extend it beyond that, that's when you'd use an additional fiber.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it looked like Wayne had a question too.
no, I thought I would try to put this, maybe use an analogy to simplify this for understanding purposes as far as one person utilizing it or more than one person being able to utilize it, depending on the capacity or how much usage an individual user was using. Supposing this is a water pipe, and a user is simply using,
He means that in a plumbing term, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
and they've just got a trickle most of the day going down it, so there would be room for other folks to be running water down through that pipe also, except that EMSI says in the evenings, they could be using at certain times a major, maybe close to 100% capacity of that fiber. So in that particular case, maybe at some time the user in this water pipe is completely filling it, and so nobody else would have that capacity. So in that light, I can see where the necessity of EMSI having access to 100% usage of one fiber would be necessary.
Sue?
So I guess my question on the agreement is, if we approve the fiber lease renewal agreement, do we have to rewrite the ordinance first? We don't.
It's there's that kind of that
discretionary clause in it.
wiggle
Okay.
language that
Okay.
says unless otherwise deemed to be appropriate.
No, I meant the part about the two fibers and.
Yeah, it
We
says
don't-
minimum
okay.
lease amount of
Okay.
2 strand miles.
All right.
You know,
Good.
Yeah,
and
there
that
are
was
some
my
issues.
question too.
Just
That's
wanted
when
to
I-
make sure.
Well, I don't know, Mr. City Attorney. What do you think about that item number 2 that says a minimum lease of 2 strand miles? Jesse explained why that's not a necessity anymore, but the language I don't see has that unless otherwise deemed to be appropriate.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, councilors. I would say that we probably need to work on this, but you do have the authority to lease less than that. It would have to
Okay.
be the 2 miles. I mean, the technology has changed quite a bit.
Gary?
I would also note that a resolution is a statement of council policy. The council can change that policy or accept that policy whenever they like. It's not directory, as is an ordinance that you
Okay.
must follow as the law of the
But
land.
it's not under an order. Okay, thank you. Good.
Not the law of the land.
Okay, Walter?
As a former city attorney once said, the council can do pretty much what he wants to. That's frightening in itself. A couple of questions, one for Jesse and then one for the Cactus Computer Man, if I may.
Mr.
Is there a
Ray.
downside to this proposed agreement for the city?
Not any significant downside. The only one that comes to mind is if we're going to be performing work on a fiber cable, I now have another customer to call to notify if there's an outage. Just one more phone call or
Another quick
email.
dial, okay.
Yep.
But it is a precedent that we could be calling 12 other customers too. At some
Correct.
point.
Because they can't be emailing them because it's down.
Just send a red light
Yeah.
down there.
And for the
Mr.
gentleman
Ray?
from, and you'll need to come to the mic, please, if you don't mind.
Mr. Ray.
I'm the only one up here that doesn't know Mr. Ray.
Tony
Or Tony.
Ray.
I'm a Macintosh user, what can I tell you? Downside?
I don't really see a downside.
Okay.
The area where this fiber, if it's the old newspaper building, that'll be to a large extent new fiber, and I don't see that interfering with anybody's capacity.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else with questions or comments? Okay, we missed anything from your views? No? Okay, so we have a council motion, and, yes?
Well, I just want to
Yes.
know if we, at this time, want to make a council request. I guess we can request among ourselves to re-look at the resolution, and I don't need to include it as part of the motion that I made. I think we've all said it enough that we need to, get it scheduled at some point in the near future.
Right, and I thought I would wait until after the council votes and then ask the chair of the Public Works Finance Committee if we could get that on an upcoming agenda at Jesse's.
Restate your motion, Tom.
Okay.
It's just the motion as written here. Yeah, to approve the fiber lease renewal agreement between the City of Moscow and Economic Modeling LLC.
I'll second that.
No, Sue's
I
already
already
seconded.
seconded.
You already
It was
did?
seconded. I
Yeah.
just was
Oh, okay.
wondering if we wanted to add it, but no, it sounds like we don't.
Okay, other discussion before voting? Okay, hearing none, we'll start the roll call vote with you, Tim.
Aye.
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 Okay, that motion carries. And staff has heard loud and clear from the council that they'd like to revisit that resolution and the Exhibit A to bring it into the, current decade,
Madam
I
Mayor?
guess. Yes. Yes.
Just a comment that I would like to make about
Please.
this particular resolution that we have right now, where it specifically states, although it has a clause in there that allows us to change it as appropriate, but that the fiber optic shall be leased to electronic data providers, IPS.
SP.
Exactly. And that part, I think, should be changed now. I think leasing it to private businesses on a 3-year lease, I think, is acceptable. We start talking about are we infringing upon private business rights, but if we don't do that, my concern comes with, and gentleman from EMSI spoke to that, is if they have to lease the cable through a provider, then they're stuck with that particular provider if they don't have a private lease on that cable through the city. And so the flexibility, I think, for EMSI is very important. It's no different than when we decide it's time to renew our cell phone service. If we find a provider that can do a better job for a more economical price, I think it's important as a matter of business economics to be able to do that. So I would like to see that changed, as well as the 2 strand miles clause changed also.
Minimally.